English Teacher Part 33. Well, as you move ahead with your lesson planning, you get to know the different material required for it. You use the equipment as well, and this will certainly help you a lot. And this induces a positive set as you should deliberate part of your lesson planning for students whose teachers are skillful. Well, inducing a positive set should be there in the deliberate part of your lesson planning, and you should think of the ways to catch your students' interest and forge positive links between the new material you plan to teach and what they have already learned. Planning presentation. Advice on making an effective presentation can be compared to the advice often given for delivering a good speech. Tell your listeners what you are going to tell them. Tell them what you have told them. To plan your presentation, list in sequence what observable action your students will perform to achieve the objectives you have set. Consider and choose the teaching methods you will use to present your lesson. Plan to provide opportunities for checking the students' understanding of the lesson you will teach, for encouraging students to participate directly or engaging in appropriate activities, and for practicing they will learn. You will find data collection form 0.31 and 3.2 useful for organizing your lesson plans and for recording these plans as they relate to your presentation. Your students' performance objective and professional targets should be set there. Planning for data collection and feedback. Data collection and feedback are important parts of the teaching learning cycle. Make arrangements to provide for these elements, both in practice teaching sessions and later in your own classroom. You may use data collection form to record your observations and give feedback on the evidence planning in micro-teaching laboratory and the classroom lessons that you observe. When you receive a teaching assignment, you can have it arranged to share your lesson plans with your lab or classroom partner and your instructor or cooperative teacher. Remember that your lesson plans and the feedback you receive on their use will form an important part of your professional journal entries. Planning evaluation. Well, evaluation is an important factor such as in the teaching and personal development. Throughout your teacher training course, you will come across many examinations, evaluations and assessments, and when you assess your students on a format, sometimes you do it in a monthly assessment, quarterly assessment, biannual assessment or annual assessment. On the other occasions, you can do the same within the classroom, within your activity, within your procedure, and that's very important, that how do you actually acclaim your student and use along with it. Planning closure. Well, we can allot sufficient time for the closure, bringing your lesson to a productive end, to leave your students with a sense of satisfaction in what they have accomplished. We can use the satisfaction to promote interest in future activities and experiences which will relate in some way to the lesson they have just completed. Well, adjustment to your lesson plans. The outline above is not meant to imply that you should always follow exactly the same steps in planning a lesson, for lesson planning is rarely that linear or lockstep process. The important point is that you finish your lesson containing all the elements that apply, and all these elements be congruent, fitting logically with one another. We can remember too that you will not always be able to follow rigidly the lesson plan that you have prepared. At times, circumstances will dictate their own terms, and there is nothing wrong in following those terms. sometimes a change is very welcome, very remarkable, significant, and we should allow it to be there in our lesson plans as well.